How did a nerdy, weird IT worker use fentanyl to murder couple? The case of an IT worker who used fentanyl to fatally poison his family friends will be the focus of a two-part documentary. Stephen Baxter, 61, and his 64-year-old wife Carol were found dead at their home in West Mercia, Essex, in April 2023. They were manipulated by Luke DeWitt, 35, who laced their medication with the opioid painkiller while using fake identities to control their lives. Essex police said unmasking the killer, described as nerdy weird by the couple's daughter, Eleanor Baxter, was one of its most complex ever investigations. He was jailed for life with a minimum tariff of 37 years at Chelmsford Crown Court in March 2024. But who is Luke DeWitt, and how did he carry out the murders? With family ties going back generations on the insular island of Mercia, Luke DeWitt was seen as a pillar of the community. The computer science graduate lived with his mother in a small semi-detached home in Churchfields, a stone's throw from the seafront. Locals knew him as a quiet man who volunteered at a soup kitchen and helped to organize the town carnival. It was why many refused to believe he orchestrated the murders of 2 millionaires in the desirable town. But detectives uncovered DeWitt, who met the Baxters sometime around 2012 or 2013, was not the upstanding member of society he had disguised himself as, but a nerdy weird killer who fooled everyone. He was introduced to the couple through his work as a freelance web designer and helped to create a website for Mrs. Baxter's shower mat business, Kazbash. The relationship evolved when DeWitt started keeping Miss Baxter company on walks and at the gym. He also helped her take medication and performed odd jobs. During this period, he faked a cancer diagnosis to gain the family's sympathy, his trial heard. It got to the point where he was always there with the Baxters, family friend Kate Dawson told the BBC. A web of false personalities. When Eleanor found her parents dead in their armchairs on Easter Sunday 2023, she immediately suspected carbon monoxide poisoning was to blame. It was not until post-mortem examinations took place that fentanyl and promethazine were found to be a significant factor in both deaths. A falsified will inside the couple's home in Victory Road, which named DeWitt as director of Kazbash, led detectives to the killer. Upon his arrest, they began to uncover the extreme lengths DeWitt explored to control the Baxters. His manipulation mainly targeted Carol Baxter, who suffered from the thyroid condition Hashimoto's disease. He created a fake doctor called Andrea Bowden, who gave Mrs. Baxter advice about her condition and put her in touch with a wide network of pretend patients. Mrs. Baxter desperately wanted solidarity, and on one occasion, the couple drove 3 hours to a hotel to meet one of the false identities who cancelled on them at the last minute.
Police seized 80 electronic devices from DeWitt's home, uncovering evidence that he had fabricated over 20 false identities to aid in a disturbing web of manipulation. Among these personas was a fictitious doctor, Bowden, under whose name DeWitt dispensed medical advice with no clinical legitimacy, prosecutors told the court, using the fabricated authority of doctor. Bowden, DeWitt promoted smoothies he claimed were packed with health benefits, smoothies he personally created. In reality, these concoctions were dangerous cocktails of drugs and toxic substances that worsened the health of his victim rather than improved it. Elena, a key witness, told jurors that DeWitt used the fake doctor to impose a rigid and and harmful set of treatment rules for her mother. The symptoms her mother, Mrs. Baxter, experienced, including severe cognitive decline resembling dementia, did not align with Hashimoto's disease, which she had been diagnosed with. Instead, they were symptoms of slow and deliberate poisoning carried out by DeWitt. He instructed Mrs. Baxter to regularly update Dr. Bowden with video messages documenting her deteriorating condition, a process he monitored closely. The investigation later revealed a chilling detail. On the morning of a couple's death, DeWitt had emailed them a so-called liver cleanse recipe. This document explained how to ingest a fatal dose of fentanyl, which had been secretly administered to them. DeWitt then remotely observed their final moments via a live video feed he had set up using a hidden phone inside their home, watching them die between Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
Why did DeWitt carry out the murders? Sentencing DeWitt, the Honorable Mr. Justice Lavender said he was motivated by a desire to control others. Deciding whether another person lives or dies is the ultimate form of control, he said. DeWitt used fentanyl patches prescribed to his late father Vernon to carry out the murders. The BBC revealed in July that detectives were also reviewing the deaths of DeWitt's father and grandfather in case he had killed them and avoided detection. Both opened and unopened patches were found in a bag at his home by police, as well as metal tacks. The same tacks were found during a scan of Mrs. Baxter's stomach when she was alive. Your relationship with the Baxters and Carol Baxter's illness had led the Baxters to trust you to prepare supposed health drinks for her for some time, the judge said. This is what gave you the opportunity to do what you did.
Mr. Justice Lavender criticized DeWitt's amateurish attempt to create a will, which named him as their dear friend Dot, however. It was suggested the will was more of an afterthought rather than the ultimate motivation. The judge said DeWitt maintained his grip over the family in the 3 months between the murders and his arrest by targeting Alina Dot. He did so by taking her out for dinner on the night he killed the Baxters, as well as arranging the funeral and using one of false identities to console her. In a final attempt at manipulation, he used a wheelchair throughout the trial in what prosecutors said was an effort to gain the jury's sympathy. Addressing the killer, the judge concluded, "What you did was cruel and senseless.